So we are covering Little Fish by Casey Plett. We are going to be covering chapters 10 through 19, and going to give a little trigger warning to anybody who's watching that if things like loss, suicide, um, severe physical trauma, violation, anything like that, harm to women, drugs, etc., click off now because the discussion's about to get really, really thick. This part of the book was super heavy, and I'm so sorry. I did not do there's not a lot online about this book, and I didn't do my research and wish I had. Chris, uh, Christine, just to let you know, it's okay. I accidentally read ahead. I checked. She sleeps with the person in the bar, and they go back to the grungy hotel at the end of chapter 19. That Wendy does. That was her first lesbian sex in like years. That's where chapter 19 ends. Is that refresh your memory enough? Okay, cool.
Thank
So
you.
no, you're so welcome. I want to just start with Stephanie and wanted to know it's okay if you only read to the end of chapter 18. Chapter 19 isn't like a pivoting point that like is going to change the dynamic of the discussion. But did you have any favorite quotes or anything that really stood out to you that you would want to share? Anything that like moved you, emotionally or made you feel some type of way is also really welcomed.
So, um, I felt where she said she was so tired or so tired of loving her people and them not loving her back. That hit hard.
It does hit
Sometimes you
hard.
feel that way.
It does. It does. I have to play devil's advocate because I feel that all the time. And I always wonder, is it my inability to receive love? Because I'm the common denominator.
I feel
I
that too.
always wonder, is it me and I just can't receive it? Or is it just I pick really shitty people? I can't figure it out. One or the other, I feel that in my soul very, very deeply. Nikki, how about you, Love Bug? I love your shirt, by the way.
Thank you. It's actually Disney villains.
Oh, that's why I love it. I am a
Hmm.
villain girl all the way to the core.
I love it. I didn't get any quotes this time because again, I was doing an audiobook mostly when I was driving. I only just now got to chapter 19. I just got to the part where Sophie, um, so I still have a little bit more catching up to do.
That's okay. That chapter. Hi, Marcy. Good evening.
Hello.
We're just going over our favorite quotes right now, so you're not behind at all. Yeah, for as far as chapter 19 goes, it's not anything that you really missed. Was there anything, well, I mean, it's important, but not as big as important as the other things that happen in this content, is basically what I'm trying to say. I don't want to dismiss what happened in chapter 19 because I do think it's a pivotal moment. But anyway, was there anything that stood out to you that like brought the feels or made you mad or irritated you in any way?
I mean, definitely the suicide really hit me. I know that might not seem like a pivotal point in the book, but that did hit me because I did lose a cousin to suicide.
Yeah, I
So,
really so I'm gonna preface this with I am challenged by the content and I hope I don't over extend and focus on that too much, but it is something very, very prevalent in my life. So um I get why it hit you that way, especially this year with what you've gone through.
yep.
And I so, so wish I would have known the trigger warning. I just didn't. So Marcy, it is so wonderful to see you. I'm so glad you're here. I've missed you a lot. I'm just asking if anybody had any favorite. Oh, Marcy, just there you go. Do you need help unmuting, love? I can ask to unmute you, and sometimes it'll give you a pop up.
There we go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was like, I can't find the button.
It always says this every single time you go out and re-enter. I don't know, something happens to the mute button. Um, if you haven't been in a long time, everybody struggles with it. But you anything from chapter one through the end of chapter 19, since you didn't get to discuss last week, is there any favorite quotes, anything that stood out to you? How are you feeling about the book?
So I am halfway through 15. I know I'm a little bit behind. I worked hard to catch up today. I'm kind of have, I don't know, up till now, a hard time really kind of getting into it.
Hmm.
Um, I am a recovering alcoholic, so to me, it seems more like following the alcoholic life of somebody else, and right now, less about what I thought we were trying to figure out if Opa was trans or not, and we're not even talking about Opa. It's literally a drunk night every night, it seems like every chapter thus far, which I guess makes it kind of difficult for me to get into just for that reason.
We all discussed that in depth last week. In fact, we really hounded in on that and thinking that the drinking it is masking deeper problems, but it is
Right.
so pervasive and there's so much of it. It's
It's
hard
the
to
whole
sidestep it.
story so
Yeah,
far.
it's everywhere. It is everywhere.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to, and as you go further and you start
Okay.
to get into the meat of the book, you start to see why it's so prevalent.
Okay.
In fact, there's a couple of moments where I'm like, oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but all of us thought, somebody needs to take old girl to AA or sit down
Yeah.
with her and
Right.
get her
Right.
some
Right.
help.
Right.
Like
Right.
everybody had this like feeling of she needs some type of intervention. Um, but also the caveat of there's so many more problems there.
That kind of reminds me a lot of myself up to where I am, where she's trying to get Raina, is that her
Yeah,
name?
mm-hmm.
Every night to see if Raina will be home to have somebody to hang out with, and she just seems very Wendy seems very lonely.
She's
Very lonely.
severely, and
Yeah.
I think, as we went further this time, I think there's some codependency there. And also, I think the loneliness has a lot to do with the fact that she's so lost in her own self identity, her own self security. And I think that's where the grandpa's ideology or Opa's ideology comes from. Like, she's looking for somebody to have to relate to, and because she's
Right.
not comfortable or found herself yet.
Right.
They but it's there, it's just under a lot of bullshit, but in real life we always see the surface, we never really
Right.
see what's underneath, and I kind of like that point of view at first, but anybody who should have, I wish I would have been like, if you're in active recovery, if you're an alcoholic, if you have anybody who committed suicide, like that really should have been said before the book was started. It wasn't on the website that I go to. It wasn't on,
Yeah.
I had no idea. So when I got to that part, I was like, oh my God, like I bawled my eyes out. And then, so it was very, very shocked. I was not prepared. Not prepared for any
I
of it.
haven't gotten to there yet, so I'm not worried about spoilers. I'll catch up.
Yeah.
But
You're still
yeah,
where we were last week with like, put the bottle down for a minute.
yeah, 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 yeah. Well, I'm like where they just found Sophie
Yeah.
and she's safe, and like that's where I'm at right now. And it's just like, yeah, I don't know. The one thing I picked up on was like, there's freaking alcohol everywhere.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. A lot of numbing here. A lot of
Yeah.
numbing. Laura, for you, did you have any favorite quote? Where did Laura go? Laura went somewhere. We'll move. Laura probably had the Floki emergency. Karen, um, overall, how are you feeling about the book? Are you glad, like, are you impressed with like the progression of more characters? Any hard moments, any favorite quotes?
Uh, not really hard moments. I mean, I read a lot of, tragic stuff. So, and I have dealt with a suicide of a friend um and actually a murder of a friend. So, I've dealt with those kinds of things. I think overall I'm just not connecting with the book a whole lot. I mean, it's not the subject matter. I guess in some ways I'm just not connecting with the characters.
Yeah,
Like I
especially if, which I find a little shocking, knowing you and your backstory and everything that you've overcame,
right.
and your feelings of misplacement and the loss of your mom. You
Yeah.
know, I'm a little shocked that maybe it's the way that Wendy has chose to cope is a different path that you took. And I also wonder if it's because I still think there's a lot of Mennonite behavior in her, and you're atheist, correct?
Right.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if the disconnect is there too. But I really, as I was reading it, I was like, hmm, I wonder if Karen finds her very relatable because there's some trauma overlaps here.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, I felt for her as a character. I felt her loneliness and, just wanting to fit in. Um, but I guess maybe I'm just not, I guess maybe I'm just not understanding her as a character. And maybe that's,
Frustrated with her.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. For whatever reason, I don't know. And I think this is part, these are like my people. Like, I can't explain it. I gravitate towards people like this. I've heard this story and seen this version so much that I really, really like the book and can relate to it. Only because I think I've been exposed to this type of scenario so much. However, the content is much, much heavier than I was prepared for. Um, but I do appreciate you sharing that because I think this is going to be one of those books where people are going to be like, I absolutely loved it, or I absolutely freaking hated it. Because I know there's a couple of us that are like, I can't put it down, and there's a few of us that are like, really not vibing the whole thing. Um, that's good. Laura, and having feeling safe enough to express that, I that's growth. That's Karen standing up and speaking and saying true feelings. So I love when you do that. Um, so Laura, back to you. Did you have any favorite quotes, any like moments that felt like evoked emotion, any kind of emotion?
Um, didn't have any quotes because I'm doing the audiobook.
Mhm.
But probably the thing that I most connected with was when they were searching for Sophie. And I just went through that not that long ago with my friend Jess and having to run up into a very sketchy, unsafe place to find her
Mhm. I
after
remember
her boyfriend had been beat the hell out of her.
boyfriend, I think is how we need to phrase it.
Oh, yeah.
I think maybe possible dealer pimp situation. I'm not sure.
Right.
Um, I can imagine how much that evoked in you and the responsibility that her mother keeps putting on you and calling to you to like go save my child. Um, and I know that you love Jess and would do anything for Jess because Jess isn't just an addict. Jess was also an incredible friend and helped you get through your divorce and your loss. And it's just so hard to find the balance there of like, what part of this am I enabling and what part am I helping? And she
Well,
totally screwed you with that whole thing. Like
Yes.
all of that was for nothing, you know? I mean, not for nothing. You did what
Although
you could do for you.
she is apparently back in rehab again. She did call her mom and say that she voluntarily went in this time.
That's good. I mean, the more times you go, same with quitting smoking or changing a lifestyle change, quitting alcohol or any kind of drug, the more you try, the more chances
Uh-huh.
you have of success. It's not easy, and I don't fault her for her life at all. I just don't like the repercussions that this life has on everyone around them, unfortunately. Jameson, did you have any favorite quotes or anything that really struck you? Or and also being around and exposed to trans people as much as I have, from your point of view, is this hard to read?
Um, I think hard to read in a different sense. Like I get something being hard to read because you don't identify with a character. I think it's hard for me to read because that's the reality that my kids are living in. That is the reality that I lost a friend last year because she just couldn't do it anymore. And it wasn't that she didn't know who she was, it was just that she couldn't fight the world to convince them of who she was anymore. She just didn't have that fight in her anymore to try to make the world see who she really was. And like some of the things that I start reading, and I'm like, that it's so dark and it's gritty, and you're reading about sex work and you're reading about the way somebody chooses to numb themselves to the entire outside world is not an easy thing to read. I like the book. I want her to get better. Like I want every trans person I know to like just I just want the world to see them the way they see themselves. But um
Yeah.
I
Yes.
was not expecting I was not expecting Sophie to go that quickly after they had just had this conversation about like I love you and I want you here and I want you to call me, but the reality of it is like that's sometimes what happens. Like you can't, no matter how hard you try to be that person, sometimes that's just not the
It.
decision that's made. But I did
I
have sorry, go ahead.
I was wondering if you saw the precursors to it. Like, I felt like the way that she was conducting herself, especially when they lose her, was like passive suicidal tendencies. Um, when you start playing like Russian roulette with your safety, um, for
Right.
me, it's kind of like passive suicide.
Right. I mean, I think I feel like even Wendy is doing the same thing. Like I've had that, I had a really good therapist have that discussion with me. I've had that discussion with friends. Like even passively putting yourself in unsafe situations, that says something. Even if you don't realize that's what you're doing, it says something about where your mental state is right now. And I'm worried about you.
Exactly.
Um, there's a quote that when she was talking, oh, it was like when the man followed her and she yelled anyway, but what she said is she said, and she learned right then, you always had to be on your guard. It didn't matter how often you passed. It could always be taken away from you. Always. She'd never be little. She'd never be fish. It could always be taken away.
Yep.
I think that I liked that because I wondered, I don't care for the term fish, but I wondered where the name of the book came from.
Yes.
And I can't identify with really, I mean, as somebody non-binary, it's not, I don't need to pass as a man. I don't need to pass as a woman. That's like, I just, the way I identify with that is like, I see people think that androgyny is thin and flat and tiny, and a lot of people do it very well. And I am a big curvy Amazon, and I am always going to look feminine. And so the only connection I had to that was she's really wanting her body to be something that it's never going to be. And that's hard. And so that one like jumped out at me like
Yeah.
it's got to be
Um,
really hard to live in a body your whole life that is never going to be what
what
you want it to be.
you want it to appear to. Um, I disagree with your take on your image. Um, I'm just so you know, the first time I ever saw you perform, you had full facial hair. You were in all men's clothes. You're tall, I mean, you very much presented extremely masculine. It is possible there was not that femininity that you said is always there. It wasn't. And there are times that I've seen, like I saw an interview of you recently, on a podcast, and you didn't even tell us about it. I'm like, what is
Oh,
wrong? Why do they never share or post these big things?
I didn't actually realize there was going to be a whole video done. I had done a poetry feature, and I thought that that was kind of the end of it. And I didn't realize they were going to do an interview afterwards. So I
You got
kind of
kind of.
just, yeah, I kind of just didn't realize. No, I do the best I can with what I have to work with. I'm working on it. I've made a lot of peace with that. Marcy, ask a question. Fish means for a trans woman to pass as a woman. It means that she's passing. Like that people don't pick up on the fact that she's trans. That's what fish means.
This means to me, like I am a cis person.
No,
I
no, not
oh
cis, fish.
fish. Oh, fish. Got you. I'm crazier than a bedbug. Sorry. Got it. I'm seeing it like catfishing. Got it. Okay. Following along. Um,
I don't
Gwen,
really like catfishing, but
I don't for the way I portrayed it, I may sound crazy for saying this. The way I looked at little fish, do you guys like know, like you get to eighth grade and like you're the big king, queen of the school and everything like that, and like you're the big fish in this small pond, and then you go on to high school and like you're small again. For somebody who transitions, like at whatever point, you've adapted to the person in the body that you are. And it's
right.
like starting over again in a whole new pool of being and learning to grow in that space. For me, that's the way I interpret it.
I think that the title is kind of like a double entendre. I do think that that's what she means, but not fish like catfishing. The reason I hate the term is that it's very misogynistic. They're referring to having an actual vagina and that
Hmm.
being fishy.
Yes.
That is the term that they have chosen to use.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not all of them, and I've heard drag queens use it as well, and that one really makes me
Feels very derogatory for me when
yeah,
it comes
I don't
to that.
like it. But
When it
that's
comes
what
from
those
a trans person referring to themselves, it's different.
yes, yeah,
But when it's coming from a drag queen and in the way that it is delivered, I get offended. I always do.
yeah.
It's weird that it's different when you're in this community and you live it every day and then you read about it versus not being actually exposed. I think it makes a big difference. But anyway, Gwen, I
Yes,
know you've had some difficulty with the content
yes.
and some difficulty with like reading about what she's going through. So just kind of like wanted to know, did you have any favorite quotes? Are you having any feels like where you're at?
Well, any suicide's a little rough for me. I've dealt a lot with suicidal ideation throughout my life. Part of my mental illness. So it was kind of rough for me. And I think the alcoholism going hand in hand. I don't struggle with alcoholism, but I do struggle with some drug addiction. It's been for a while now, but um the hand in hand, it goes kind of hand in hand. It really does. And whether you're trying to quit or you're using too much, all that stuff, and that can really lead to the suicidal ideation. Especially alcohol, because it's a depressant. And it doesn't feel like when you're using it as a depressant, but afterwards when you're coming off of it, it makes you feel even worse. So it just really hit me in all the fields. I definitely struggled. I'm struggling with this book. So it's been hard.
I wanted to validate the suicide ideation part of it. The way that, and those are my favorite quotes, and I'll just share them now since we're on the topic. Um, but my favorite quotes were, okay, so it starts with this part. Sophie had talked about an old high school friend of hers who kept a bottle of Everclear on her nightstand. It's my security blanket, the friend had said. And then um, Wendy goes on to say about her suicide plan about going to the States and getting Everclear and then alcohol and going out into the cold and everything. And says, but it comforted her. It was hard to explain. She had her plan, and because she didn't start going through with it, then that meant she wasn't actually going to die. And then it finally ends with um like it being this, for me, that's how it started, and I didn't know. So I started fantasizing in that way about the plan and got addicted to the escape of the thought of being able to do it. And I don't think it's recognized enough in the book that that is what Wendy's doing. Having this particular plan and thinking about it and it bringing her comfort is big time suicide ideation. And anybody who's ever experienced it, it gets away from you. It's a fleeting thought, and then the next thing you know, you become obsessed. So I can see why that would be so hard.
Yeah, that's exactly how it happens. It starts as a fleeting thought, and then before you know it, you're thinking about it constantly, and it becomes obsessive. And it brings you comfort.
It does. It is a very euphoric feeling of like, just getting away and having this relief of it could all end. Um, but anyway, I do appreciate you bringing that up. And that was the hardest part for me because it's something I've literally experienced myself. Christine, how are you digesting the book? How does it feel for you? Did you have any moments or quotes?
The quote that someone earlier shared about, I'm tired of loving people who don't love me back. Um, that's me with my family. So that really hit hard. Overall, I wouldn't say I'm enjoying the book because it seems weird to say that, but like it's keeping my interest. I'm hoping, like some folks said in the chat, that Wendy will have some kind of epiphany or growth or something um, before the book ends.
Yes,
Um,
I think
and
we're
that
all
I,
holding on to that. If not, it's going to be devastating.
and then the talk that you guys have been talking about, passive suicide when you put yourself in dangerous situations, that for me just educated me because I used to do that stuff a lot.
Hmm.
Um, and I have struggled with suicidal ideation as well. And I do have a plan. And part of me, I'm listening to it, when I heard her plan, I was like, that's not going to work.
Yes, 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 me too. Like, this isn't concrete. You
This
don't
is
know.
an ineffective plan.
This is not plans out properly. And so, in a way, you kind of feel like, okay, it's a little safer. It's not, something that it's a like fails, like she's not gonna succeed. There's a possibility that this could go sideways in so many ways. So there's a little bit of reprieve in that. But I think the fact that you recognized it speaks volumes, you know? unfortunately, I didn't know, but the things that she's doing, the behaviors, the actions that she has right now, it's self-harm.
Absolutely.
It's
I
definitely.
have a I have a family member that's trans, and I used to call them my Nephilim, and they asked me to use the term niche instead. So I my niche, we they have helped me like comprehend so much about their world and how to treat others better. And instead of asking, hey, what are your preferred pronouns, just say like, what are your pronouns? And I met somebody yesterday that we were talking, and I asked that question, and the answer was they them, and they seemed to appreciate the fact that I asked, so that was kind of fun,
It's
kind of cool.
extremely validating for people in that position, for somebody to care enough to respect that, and the fact that you are becoming more aware and active in doing it. And I think the more people that can, the better it'll be, because the societal conditioning is learned behavior.
Mm.
Um, Also, just so you know, I am the black sheep everywhere. And I hate that term. But that is the term. I really do. It has bad, bad connotation, but I don't know how else to say it. But I am not in my family. And no matter what I do and how hard I try to be a good person, I always end up the villain. So if you ever need to be like the bad guy with anybody and revel in that, I'm your girl. We can just accept it and be like, okay, we some bad bitches. We'll just go be villains. Instead
Thank
of
you.
hating myself about it, I've just learned to accept, nope, that's just your lot in life. So I would encourage you not to feel bad or inadequate or shame about it anymore. Start to switch it to power.
Thank you.
Hmm. Brenna, I know you're loving the book as much as I am. And I really want to know your opinion on your true feelings, and then also as a social worker.
Yeah. Yeah, I've loved every aspect of this book. And I know, Billy, we talked last week. It's really hard for me to pinpoint why. Even sitting and reflecting it on it, after I was reading the other day, nothing is standing out to me that like, okay, that's why I like this book so much. It's just like something has really drawn me in. I don't know. Um, it's been interesting to me like how it's written from, I guess, like from the perspective it's written in. And like being able to maybe comprehend some of like Wendy's inner dialogue or like inner thoughts. I don't know. I think that's always validating to like hear that type of thing because as people we always think, oh, I'm the only person who thinks this, or I'm the only person who feels this way. And so then when you make that connection that hey, you're not by yourself, I think it makes a big difference. So I did really like that. um as a social worker, it was tough. It was tough. I also see, some of my current or past clients in that realm. Yeah, I'm currently working in the realm of addiction, and I have for a long time. I also have a cousin that OD'd several years ago and passed, you know what I mean? And so it's like it's real personal to me also, and I could see a lot of those themes, coming up. Again, like you said, the reasons behind the drinking, not even the drinking, but like what's going through her head and like what she's dealing with. And
Hmm.
then the alcohol is that escape for her. I mean, and I don't know, it's been definitely like a hard read as a social worker. And you know I don't know, having my own mental health struggles, but seeing it play out in other people all the time as well. Yeah.
Have you ever read Wild by Cheryl Strayed?
No, I haven't.
I highly recommend it. It comes from her point of view, similar to this, and I love that storytelling type.
Mm.
I can even send you it. I have a copy of it. You can log into
Yes.
my Audible and listen to it. Like, it's one of my we've read it in book club.
Okay.
And it's very, it would be a really cool snack book for you. I think you would like it. It's more you get the pain, but you also get power. So
Mm.
it could be a nice reprieve if this doesn't end so great. Do you know what I mean? It could be a nice
Absolutely.
place to go from this kind of point of view that you really like, and I do too.
Mm-hmm.
That inner
Mm-hmm.
dialogue hits the feels. So, um, what I really wanted to talk about, my first question, and I don't know if you guys want me, okay, this is the way I'm going to phrase it, and you can pass, and we're going to start back down with Stephanie. So, there's a meme that goes around all the time, and it says, fuck nudes, send me the song you listened to that helped you survive a bad time. And the reason why I want to ask that question is because Wendy listens to Violet from Hole on repeat, um, while dealing with the loss of Sophie. So you can pass or you can share your song. And if you don't know it off the top of your head, that's totally fine. But if you have one you would like to share, I'm going to make a playlist. So I wanted to start with that and ask everyone that, like, what is your go-to, I'm in my feels, survival, or somebody else is suffering? Like, what is it, fuck your nudes. Tell me what song kept you alive.
So I'm gonna go a little old school.
Go old
Uh,
school, girl.
yep, some hair metal. Um, I really love the band Tesla. They're very positive, and when I'm having a bad day, I listen to Getting Better.
All right. Okay. I got some
Mhm.
chills. Unique song choice. Loving it. Nikki, how about you?
Oh, it's a hard one. I got so many songs, but the first song that comes to mind is Frontline by Pillar. It's not even like anything specific with the lyrics. It's like one of those songs that like back when I was in my 20s and I had just dropped out of college, I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. So I hopped on a train and I went to Montana for a month to stay with my uncle. And I listened to that song on repeat the entire month I was gone.
Oh my gosh, wow. Um, so I'm wondering if the song Don't Stop Believing from Journey hit you hard. It's just a midnight train, a small girl from a town going
Oh,
nowhere.
yeah, that one too.
Yeah, that would hit hard too. I appreciate you sharing why. I really do. Marcy, do you have any that really like fuck this day or I need a pickup or anything like that?
I no, always like when something hits me and knocks me back or makes me feel down, the song Fix Me by 10 Years has always, like, I don't know, kind of like amped me up in a way. Like,
Yeah.
we've been through it before, we can get through this again, like, bring it on
Yeah.
type feel, I guess, is what it does for me. Anyways, is like, oh, we've done this before and we made it through it just fine. We'll do it again.
Fuck yeah. I love that. I love that.
Yep.
Um, uh, and it can be sad, it can be empowering, it can be anything.
Yeah.
Laura, do you have one?
I actually have two.
Okay, share.
Bad Omens, Just Pretend, and Popular Monster by Falling in Reverse.
Totally not what
Laura,
I
this is why
expected.
we're best friends. Sorry. I didn't mean to cut in.
No,
But like
same because that
what?
was my second choice.
I love the bestie. I love the connection that you two have made. Those are not what I expected from you. So
I
that's
know.
awesome. Thank you for sharing. I'm gonna have to look up the lyrics.
You
Very,
thought
very cool.
country.
Yes, I was so expecting it to be something like I got friends in low places or something like that. Like I did not expect. But that's so cool. You learn something new about people you know really well all the time in book club. Karen, how about you?
Um, I have two, Alive by Pearl Jam and My Own Prison by Creed.
Okay, I really it is like a secret pleasure. Like I don't tell anybody I like Creed, because the lead singer's a fucking douche, like big time, real bad, like. But oh my God, that song hits me like it's one of those ones that they say white people turn up like what white Snakes all alone or on my own again. It's a classic white person song to rock out to. My own prison has always been one of those for me. So very relatable, very relatable. But that's like my secret thing. But I have to relate to you on it because every time I hear it, I feel it. Yeah. Um, is it because you feel like you have created your own and you want to break out of it? Because do you know Creed lyrics, the underlining theme of those are religious.
Yes, I don't think about the religious part of
Yeah.
it. Um,
Uh-huh.
there's a couple of reasons why. The one has to, I like several of Creed songs. But actually some of it is just memories. Like my friend who committed suicide, I still remember driving around in his car. Like he was driving our car or his car, and we were, young and stupid, drinking alcohol and driving around, and he would blare Creed in the car while we were driving. And so like that was like one of my last good memories of him.
Yeah.
So
It's the moment, not so
right,
it's the capture. It takes you back.
right.
Right. Yeah, that vibe comes all back. I get that completely. Jameson, I'm really curious. Where, what's your go-to?
Um, I have a lot of songs, but off the top of my head, Remember Every Scar by Escape the Fate. I really like that one. Um, Snuff by Slipknot, which I know is weird, but I Corey Taylor can sing anything to me and it makes me feel better.
Yes.
And then there's also a lot of Nirvana, like any of that unplugged where Kurt is just singing and you can hear his voice.
Yeah.
I really love Where Did You Sleep Last Night? I
Oh my
really,
God, that's my
I
favorite.
really love his cover of that. And it makes me feel better just to hear his voice sing that. I don't.
Oh, yeah. Gwen, how about you? I think I know, but I thought I knew with Laura.
So Pursuit of Happiness by Kid Cutie is one that I listen to, and I really like Lily Allen's Fuck You. So those are kind of like I have a bunch I listen to. Like I can tell you some Limp Bizkit that I listen to. Like it just kind of depends on the mood. I have a couple Eminem songs I listen to. But those are probably the two more mild songs.
I knew, I knew about Lily Allen. I didn't, and I know that you love Eminem, but I didn't know the other. So that's interesting. Christine, how about you?
I was having a hard time thinking of one, but I really like, um, well, one of the many bands I like. My music taste is so eclectic, but
Hmm.
Alice in Chains, Rooster. Um, they
Hmm.
come to snuff the rooster, but he won't die, is the moral of the story on that song. And I kind of feel like I'm the rooster.
Hmm. Oh, very good choice. Anything from the 90s grunge era is gonna hit the fucking fields for this whole group. I just totally, totally down with that. Um, Brenna, how about you?
So like most people, there's a lot of songs that come to mind because I also like music. But the first song that came to mind, I guess I shouldn't be surprised, is Those Nights by Skillet. Okay, so I really just got to give you the full context because,
Hmm.
I grew up in a very, very, very strictly
Oh, did Brenna freeze or did I freeze?
A religious household
Oh, there
as
she
a
comes. She's
kid.
coming back.
And as a
There you
teenager, I
go.
think I
You're back.
freeze.
Yeah.
Sorry. So I grew up in a strict religious household, and that was like Skillet was my shit as a kid. You know what I mean? And they released this whole album when I was younger that just like hit me in all my feels. But that song specifically sticks out because even though I liked it as a kid, it kind of resurfaced for me as an adult. I had a similar sort of situation as Nikki, where I was like leaving a situation very suddenly. I had left an old relationship, left the state, impulsively moved to Columbus. That's how I got here. And at the time, I had somebody who I did not know very well at the time, but my best friend took me in and allowed me to crash on his couch for a couple of months because I didn't have anywhere else to go, and I didn't even know him well enough at that time for him to do that, for me. And that song got me through that time because it was like the shittiest time in a lot of ways, like I had a lot to figure out. I There were so many unknowns. I was so
Right.
broke and living on my friend's couch, but I really, looking back now, cherish that time because he had my back in the midst of like all the shit of the world. And so when I'm having like a bad time again, I think back to that song and like to my friendship and stuff like that. So
I love that. I also want to say there are some very brave people in this group. There are several of you who have broken out of horrible situations suddenly to absolutely nothing and had absolutely no idea how you were going to survive. You were just getting the fuck out. And I envy that, and I'm always the person that is always left behind. So hearing your guys' stories is just like, God, that all of them have done this, and it's unfathomable to me. My ghost song, I've always said, my theme song was be She Talks to Angels, from the Black Crowes. I lost my very first loss. I was 15, and my boyfriend of a year committed suicide. And then from that point forward, literally, and I think you all know this, I call myself a cockroach. Everyone around me that I love dies. Like I really love them, and I know I really love them, and then they pass. So for me, there are more people on the other side than there are on this side. So she talks to angels. And then I don't know if everybody knows this or not, but like I live my life a quarter mile at a time. And um, that saying ties into Eminem's song, This is one shot, one opportunity, don't fail me. Like I have to listen to that song once a day to get myself up out of bed and get me like, you've got this one day. You only have now. Get up and move and make a difference. Those are the two that keep me out of suicide. But if I'm feeling very, very down and I need something relatable, Corn's Freak on a Leash is my favorite. Because every relationship I've ever gotten into or intended to be in or got around was you were just supposed to be a cheap fuck for me to lay. I wasn't supposed to fall in love with you. And I know, always felt like a terrible person for that, but he makes that feel relatable. So those were mine. I think that music is healing, and I think the way that this book is going, um, we're going to need a playlist to listen to after. I have some questions that I wanted to ask, but I also wanted to give you guys an opportunity to vote, a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Because we lost Sophie, and she was my favorite character. I know she was Danny's favorite character. I know a lot of people really liked her. We can honor her memory by sharing somebody that we lost to suicide. Or I can ask you a question. So that's how we'll handle this next course of it. So you can choose either one. We'll start with Brenna this time. Do you want to honor somebody that you lost to that, or would you like a question?
Um, hmm. I'll take a question. I'll take a
Okay,
question.
absolutely. It's called the mirror moment, and it says Wendy is often preoccupied with how others see her versus how she sees herself. Was there a moment in the book that you've read so far that made you stop and think about a version of yourself that you see and that you want seen, but nobody else sees it?
Oh gosh, yes, I'm glad I asked for the question. I think that's part of the inner dialogue, I guess, that I was talking about that I could relate to. It was hard for me to put in words, so I'm glad you just asked that. But yeah, a lot of the like self-doubt, um, like lack of confidence and things like that, where I'm always seeing myself in like the more negative way, and sometimes I need to see it in the more positive way. But the other thing is, like people who don't know me or maybe who don't know the intentions behind my behavior tend to like label me as being like mean or like angry, and because I do call people on their shit and because I am angry sometimes, you know what I mean? Because I don't like injustice or I'm protective, you know what I mean? But like it frustrates me when the assumption is like, well, Brenna's just a bitch, you know what I mean?
Oh,
But it's like,
I
well,
am.
what's the intention behind that though, right? Like I'm
I
protective of those that I love.
Oh my God, Brenna, you're reading me a mind. We just talked about this in therapy, and I'm like, I'm a bitch. I'm an admitted a bitch. I'm okay with being a bitch. Um, but she asked me, like, the intent of being a bitch is so important. What is the reason? Are you being mean just to be mean? Or are you being mean because you're in defense of someone or something? And I think people just see the outer part of the result of the reaction.
Yes. Yes. Or it's like I mean, admittedly, right? I can out myself. Like my approach is not always the most appropriate, right? And so like then then people see just my approach and not understanding like my heart, you know what I mean, and how I'm truly feeling. And I think that it bothers me a lot. But the people that know me know my intentions, right? But thinking about Wendy and like how the outer perspective of people see her, I think that would be how I resonate with that.
I'm glad you got to share that part of you with us.
Yeah.
I think it's relatable. Christine, would you like to honor somebody that you lost or have a question?
I'll go question.
Okay. This one is called Defining Support. The friendships in this book are messy, loud, and fiercely loyal. After reading about Wendy, Sophie, and Lila, how would you define family differently? Does your own biological family or your chosen circle feel more like home to you?
Well, this is kind of a crossover. So my family of origin, I'm the youngest of five by 9 years. I'm 9 years closest sibling. So
Wow.
my oldest sibling is 16 years older than me, and he's already passed away. Um, but so my family of origin, the remaining siblings that I have, two of them are Trumpers, and I can't like deal with that. And one of them I'm in touch with, but she's got two grandchildren. She's busy, or three actually now. And like just all three of them only engage with me if I engage with them first. And it's been a theme throughout my life.
Mhm.
But I lost my sister-in-law um, uh, 3 years ago. Um, and that was completed suicide. And with that, I not only have my family that I created with my husband, I've got two biological children. Now I have three bonus children. And the youngest of the three, Cameron, is who I call my bonus child. because he lived with us for 6 years. So the family that I have now, like when I have holidays and stuff now, like that is, that's who I think of as my family. I do have a good circle of girlfriends and friends that, may not call themselves girls. And I feel very comfortable in my circle of friends and loved by them.
I love that you have something and someone and a support system of some sort,
Thank
where
you.
you feel like it's okay to be you. I think that's
Yeah.
so important.
Yeah.
Um,
Thanks.
Gwen, would you like to honor somebody that you've lost to suicide, or would you like a question?
I would honor someone I lost to suicide. I lost a good friend of mine. Her name was Allison. Um, so I used to live on Long Island, and I used to leave my door unlocked, and I would wake up in the morning to her playing the drums on my rock band on my Wii. And she'd look at me, hurry up, get a cup of coffee, and grab the guitar. She wouldn't sleep at night, and she just, soon as like she'd go lay on the beach and stuff, and then when the sun would rise, she'd come into my apartment and play rock band on my Wii until I woke up, and then wanted me to join her. It was She was lovely. So and yeah, she's been passed for 2 years now. So
You're still in touch with her mom, right?
yeah, her mom called me the day. She didn't want me to find out on Facebook. Her mom called and woke me up that morning,
Yeah,
and told me what happened. So yeah, her mom and I talk probably once a month. I just check in on her.
that's kind of you to do. I'm so sorry for the loss. I knew Allison. I was friends with her on Facebook. She was a cool person, really cool. Jameson, what would you like? Would you like to honor somebody that you've lost or a question?
I will take a question.
Okay, okay. This is called coping mechanisms. Wendy's life is often a cycle of coffee, drinks, and cigarettes. Instead of judging her choices, did her routine make you reflect on your own small comforts or habits that help you get through a hard day? And if there are, what are three of them?
Um, so I've come a really long way in my coping mechanisms. There was a time where the three were, I mean, like being borderline, I was a cutter. I I was not I was not an alcoholic, but I did use it to numb like the feelings. And I used to just put myself in not safe situations. And I realized one day, like I looked at my kids and I said, you do not have that right any longer. You are not the only one depending on you now. You have these babies and you need to take care of them. And they're in their 20s now, but they're still my babies. So
Yes.
when they were little, and thank God they don't remember that person. That's how little they were. I'm always so thankful for that. But I went to a really good therapist, and now I tend to write or work out or listen to screaming music. I make a very conscious effort not to drink or use any kind of substances when I'm emotional or when I'm upset because my dad was an alcoholic and I don't want to do like there are times that I'm just going to drink this bottle of wine and I realize that I'm doing it because I'm hurting or because I'm angry or because I'm sad. Um, if I'm just watching a movie and I want to drink a bottle of wine and go to sleep, that is fine. But I make a very conscious effort not to do it when I'm emotional. So yeah, I think that's why I've been writing so much lately. It's
An
my
outlet.
happy place is the gym. So I'm always happy in a gym and those are my new coping mechanisms, I guess.
That shows phenomenal growth. And also, almost like a determination to sit in discomfort. That's hard to do. And yes, Believe it or not, Jameson does have children in their 20s, even though does not seem possible. I,
Everyone says that, and I appreciate it every single time. I
yeah,
don't
it
know.
is
Lately,
shocking.
it's been really like lately. I've realized that the emotion that I was trying to push away was that even though I'm glad that I'm independent and I'm on my own, it's lonely sometimes. Just lonely as in not as I miss this person, just that it is so quiet and you are alone all the time, all day. So I realized that ice cream was not really any better of an option than wine, so I needed to stop doing that. So I was like, oh, we're this is a coping mechanism now, so let's just write some things for a
Yeah,
little while.
the
So
choice to do that and having the cognition to do it before you do it is big time, pivotaling, life changing, because the pain hurts so bad and you want to numb it so bad that you don't sometimes realize I made a maladaptive mistake, because I went back to old healing behaviors. You know what I mean? Because you're like in crisis if it's like pain, being able to get in front of that and being like, okay, this is a bad choice for me. I have to choose something else is huge. Like big time. I've been working on that for 3 years, even doing EMDR to try to brain map to do it. So I really commend you for having the ability to stop the action before it occurs. It takes a lot of work. Um,
yes, sometimes the answer is leave the house. Sometimes that's still the answer, hence the
yeah,
gym.
yeah.
So
Sometimes I just get out of here. Yeah, I get it completely. And as somebody who's also we're gonna say recovering cutter, um, I think that was probably the most challenging thing I ever had to stop. Because
that was the hardest one for me.
yeah,
Absolutely, it was the hardest.
so I really, really want to give you props there. I don't think people realize the addiction crossover of cutting, and the stimulation in the brain if they've never done it. So stopping that is monumental. Um, Karen, would you like a question or would you like to honor somebody that you lost?
A question.
Okay, okay. This is called Moments of Friction. Was there a scene in this current part from 10 to 19 that made you feel particularly uncomfortable or defensive or angry? Unusually, those reactions tell us more about our own biases or fears than the book itself. Is there anything that brought up strong emotion and why do you think it did?
Um, trying to think. Um, I, I guess one of the things I did relate to in the book was kind of like Wendy's relationship with her dad, and I think always wanting his approval and wanting to have him understand her and support her. Um did not I did not and still do not have a great relationship with my father. He's my stepfather, but he's been in my life since I was 2.5. So um and I still remember all the times that I wanted his approval, and he was a very well, he still is. He's a very narcissistic person. And so um and he loved to cut people down. Like no matter what you did, it wasn't good enough. And
Mhm.
um so I can understand that. I can understand, and
You
that,
relate.
and yeah, and that made me sad, and um feeling, sorry for, for her, and not having a mother, or not having, um, a father, even though he acknowledged her and eventually, but he still is not like a system of support for her.
Yeah. Also kind of foul.
Mhm.
The whole watching porn and eating Cheetos and then wondering why my dick is always orange really made me unfucking comfortable. Like, dude,
Yeah.
no, this is your daughter. We don't say shit like that. I mean, I'm gonna give him props where it's at, but I think he's the reason for her drinking problem. Considering he told her just count the drinks and then you'll figure out if you have a problem. I don't like his dismissal and
Mhm.
his complacentness. So I also have a stepfather who's been in my life since I was 3, and very similar. So you're not alone in that way. I'm also an orphan. Both of my biological parents are dead, and so are my grandparents who raised me. And I've lost contact with people in foster care to get all of that. So he's like all I have left, but he's an asshole.
Yeah, that's all I have. My biological father was not part of the picture. And my mom, who I love to death, she passed away 14 years ago. So, and he is the only parental figure I have. But I don't even like to talk to him.
Hmm.
I, he's in a nursing home and I go visit him every once in a while, but I don't like to call him on the phone. I don't like to
I don't understand it
let
either.
him.
I don't understand. My stepdad's in and out of the ICU constantly, constantly. He's passively suicidal since my mom died, and he's still an asshole. I'm like, when are you ever gonna stop being a dick? Like you're dying. You know you're dying. Are you ever gonna make amends? Anyway, that's a whole nother meeting. Kate has stepped away, I think. And I know Kate is primarily here for After Dark. Kate's got some things going on that she's gonna want to need support with. And so, Laura, would you like to honor somebody that you've lost to suicide, or would you like a question?
We're going to go with the question.
Okay, absolutely. So this one is called The Reluctance of Choice. Wendy returns to sex work out of necessity. When her retail job ends, when you read about her making this choice, did you feel a sense of judgment or did it make you reflect on your own survival choices, moments in your life where you did something you didn't want to do because you absolutely felt like you had to? And if so, what was it?
There was definitely no judgment.
We support sex
Um,
workers here. This is a safe space.
you do what you have to do.
Hmm.
Um, Resorting back to the last 9 years, my sole focus has been to not revert back to previous behavior. Um, it hasn't been easy. I would say probably the biggest thing is standing on my own 2 feet and not relying on my mother let me rephrase that, allowing my mother to come in and take over and fix all the problems. And
Learning to fix them yourself.
yes.
Yeah. Like taking the power back of your own life and being in control of
Yes.
that. That gives people a
and
lot of self-esteem.
and that was not an easy conversation to have with her.
No, she has some codependency issues.
Some.
Some, some. It's out of love, and she's
It is.
also has her own issues. To
I know that.
give her props here, but yeah, that would be very difficult with somebody like her to be like, I need my autonomy and I need
Yeah.
to do this on my own. It would be a difficult conversation to have, absolutely. And I commend you for that because you've done it. I mean, you're about the only person I know that lives completely, well, Jameson now, but lives completely alone without anybody else's income and holds an apartment and a car and a job and takes care of the dog and everything all by yourself. It's a lot. It's hard as hell, and I have mad respect for that, especially since you're saying it's taken you 9 years to like really congeal this behavior, and that's not who you were before. Um, and thank you
No,
for
I
that.
lived life on the wind. Like wherever it blew, off I went.
Off you went.
There was
Yeah.
no consistency, there was no structure, no. I never lived in a place more than a year.
But now
I
you've
mean,
been here 9 years
I've
almost.
been yeah, I've been in my
Mhm.
apartment 9 years now.
Yeah. So you learned how to plant your feet and take care of you. And doing that in your like 30s, 40s, it's a hard behavior to learn. Real hard. And I think some people it comes naturally with this and some people it doesn't. And I think it's
It
great to
doesn't.
have.
It is not a natural thing for
Not
me.
for me either. Not for me either. No, 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 no. Not even in the least. I don't even know if I'm capable of it. Marcy, would you like a question or would you like to honor somebody that you've lost to suicide?
We're gonna go with a question.
Okay. This one is called Body Ownership. There is a tension between Wendy's internal self and her client's focus on her physical traits. Did those scenes make you think about times you felt objectified or defined only by one part of your identity, your job, your appearance, or a role you play, rather than who you actually are? And what is it that you felt like was objectified?
Um, I am honestly, I have a pretty aggressive personality type. So if somebody's coming at me in a way that makes me feel like this is where it's headed, it's not even gonna go there.
Has it always been that way, or is that since you've been sober?
It's always been that way.
You've
I've
always been
always
that.
been that way. Yes.
And
I
what's
have
your
a
sign
very
again?
Aquarius.
Huh.
I have a
That's
very
supposed to be
pretty
fine. Uh-huh.
aggressive personality. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. I mean, like, men always
Yeah,
they've
that's where
got
I was
things
going.
to
Uh-huh.
say. They've got things to say. They feel like they can touch. They feel like, like there's just some that where there's zero respect, period. And to think of one specific time is hard. I was
Yeah,
in bars a lot.
yeah,
So, I mean, sometimes that in itself is scary to be
very.
a drunk woman in a bar.
Yeah, yeah, very, very. At this time and place where we are societally, I do not suggest that. Anytime anybody tells me they're going out drinking, where are you going? Are you going to use lids on your cups? Who are you taking with you? Do you have an Uber? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yes.
we
Where
need
are
to
you
be very,
going?
very
When are you
protective.
leaving? Who are you
Mm-hmm.
with? Who are you with?
Exactly. Text me where
Mostly,
you're
who are
at.
you with? Yeah.
Yeah.
Who
That's
are
a
you with?
very severe danger that we all are pervasively faced with now all the time. So good on you. I
I mean, it's
unfortunately,
even as, parking by street lights and holding your keys a certain way. I mean, it's,
oh,
I
Jameson
hate to
made
say
something
it, but it's
incredible.
men everywhere.
Yeah, it goes on my keychain. It is a unicorn and it is rainbow. And the unicorn, and it's made out of the toughest, 'cause even bumping this thing hurts. The toughest material, but I'm kind of oblivious and fearless and stupid and don't pick up that I'm in danger because I lived my life in a 400-pound body and now I'm 180 and like men look at me differently, objectify me differently, I'm gonna get hurt type of thing. But you made me this and you slip your knuckles in it when you're walking with your keys alone. And so you have it available and it's right there on your keychain. So um, Jameson's very talented in things like this. If you have a favorite thing like that, I would highly recommend reaching out. That would be a really cool thing to have. But yes, Nikki, Would you like to honor somebody that you lost, or would you like to have a question?
Well, I already mentioned about my cousin that committed suicide in the comments, so we'll go ahead and go to a question.
Okay, okay, that's totally understandable. Um, so my question for you is the shared burden is what it's called, and it's in the book. A person leaving the group reduces the group by more than just subtraction. So the loss of Sophie, it changes the entire dynamic of the survivors. Have you ever lost someone who was a pillar of your life? And how did that loss change the way, whether you lost them to death, or you had a disagreement and they ended a relationship, whatever? How did that change you and the way that you went on after? Because you had that strength from that community, that person.
Yeah, no, that would probably have to be, she was my best friend for many, 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 many years. And once we graduated high school, we started having falling outs. He was going down one path, I was going down another. I didn't want to go down the path, the drugs and the drinking anymore. I was going to college and, I wanted to focus on my life.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like a pivotal moment in my life because that's when I realized that outside of her, I didn't really have any friends.
Mm-hmm.
So that was huge when her and I finally just one day we just stopped talking. And that was it.
I have one of those too, love. I miss her all the time, but I know it happened for a reason.
Yeah.
Let me
Like her
call
and
them.
I, we still, now that, Facebook's around and everything, we've talked now and then. We're not anywhere as close as we used to be.
Yeah.
And it's hard some days. There's a lot of times that I'll be doing something and I'll be like, oh my God, we used to do something like this. And it's really hard. But
We have a matching
I
tattoo.
also know that if I would not, like if I would have followed her down that path, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. I wouldn't have my husband or Maddie or my other daughter. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't hate it.
Yeah. You can't, because the end result is better. Can't say the same for myself. Um, but I do know she sucked the life force out of me, and I don't have the spoons for her. But I can't say life is better without her. But maybe, maybe.
Maybe.
But at least you have these wonderful gifts in your life to hold on to, you know?
And now I got all you guys too.
Yeah, these are my book babies. I can't have babies in real life. You're my book babies. Sorry, not sorry. Stephanie, would you like to honor somebody that you've lost to suicide, or would you like a question?
I'd rather have a question.
Okay. This one is called processing versus numbing. Wendy often deals with intense trauma through routine numbing herself with drinks, alcohol, coffee. When Sophie dies, did you find yourself wanting Wendy to break down and finally just hit rock bottom so that she could come to terms with how she's been numbing everything? Or were you hoping that she could recover using those numbing substances? And for yourself, how have you handled your darkest moments? Do you find that you numb just to get through so time can heal some, or do you have your ultimate breakdown?
I keep hoping that she's gonna grow. So I think I
Mm-hmm.
am hoping she will have her rock bottom, but that
Mm-hmm.
it won't be so severe. And I would say when my mom first died, I started drinking more and I was smoking
And you
a
pulled
lot more
away from Rob.
cigars.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep, I did. And it wasn't an addiction because I'm not addicted to alcohol or drugs or anything like that, but more so food.
Mm-hmm.
So,
It's just
and I'm
like Jameson, ice cream's no better than wine.
yeah. So I've been working on that, but yeah, I would say the hardest thing would was losing my mom. It's been almost 4 years now that she's been gone.
Yeah.
I'm just now starting to kind of get it together.
Good on you. It's been 7. Oh my God, Nicholas. Nicholas was okay, guys. He was our OG mascot. Check out the teeth. Okay, he was the
Nicholas,
very first Cozy Corner
Nicholas,
pet mascot. This is Nicholas.
Chase,
He is my nephew. He is
show
very
your
dear and
teeth.
near to my heart. Look at his little baby underbite. I mean, how can you look at him and not be happy? Love, love, love him. I believe that him and Delilah are somehow biologically connected in some way because other than the underbite, they look just alike. So I'm going to choose to share just a little about a loss. I already told you guys about Henry. It was my first boyfriend. That was very, very traumatic for me, but I just wanted to share his memory. We lived in an apartment complex, and my sister got a job. She was older than me, working at Frisch's, Big Boy, which isn't around anymore. And she was a waitress, and she started dating the cook there, and his name is Patrick. They're married today. And when I say my sister, she was adopted. When my parents lost custody of me for their abuse and toxicity and drug use and abandonment and everything else they put me through, they adopted another child. So when I came home for my grandparents, I came home to a sister who I loved and adored until I didn't. But anyway, and he had a best friend named Henry. And I was chubby and awkward and a huge nerd. And the only thing I thought about was getting to Notre Dame and getting my scholarship. So I had tunnel vision, but I noticed him. And my sister said, he's bad news. Don't date him. He's messed up, blah, blah, blah. Of course, that made me want to date him more. So I ran to that Frisch's to walk her home, even though I never walked her home before, because she was older than me, stronger than me. Anyway, I met him and we instantly fell for each other. He was 17, I was 14. It was my very first car date. And my stepdad, who's the prick, told him I have a shovel and a shotgun, and I don't think anybody's going to miss you if she's not home by 10 o'clock. And I found out he was a drug dealer and he was from Amish country and his parents were horrible and he was going through a lot of trauma. I had been through a lot of trauma. We trauma bonded and we're very, very much in love. I never did anything sexually with him. And then one weekend, I went away to stay with my other friend and my sister took it upon herself to tell him, Billy wants to break up because you're toxic and doesn't want to be with you anymore. And he killed himself because of it. His dad sawed off shotgun and shot him. Wrote a suicide note that his mom read at his funeral. That he couldn't live without me. So my first real love started like that. Um, he was an amazing person. Had my sister not said those words, I don't know where he would be. He was brilliant. He just didn't have the chance. And yeah, so I loved her until I didn't. And that's when I didn't anymore. But he I think still visits me and sends songs like my mom does. And um I just wish I would have known what he was capable of and what would have came of him. So that's kind of a little bit too much about me, but that's where my first love story started to kind of get the hint of it. The last thing I wanted to cover is we're going to be voting on a new book. So I need thumbs up. Um, do you want to have a theme? That's the first question. We've had a lot of themes lately. So if you want a theme, put your like the only theme I could think of is like moms and books about moms because Mother's Day. And I don't really know if that's going to be an easy topic because a lot of us have some dead moms. I mean, it's the easy way to say this, but we do. So I'm taking it we're going to go seamless, right? Do we want to put it just for people who've never had a book chosen? It narrows it down to some people who don't always come to meetings, though. So in this meeting alone, Marcy, Brenna, Karen, Kate, and Christine, that's five, have not had a book chosen. They could be our nominators, and we could do that. What do you think of that idea? Is everybody cool with that? Okay, so I will read out on Tuesday to you guys to put your nominations out for people to vote on. And I don't think five is too many. And then the last thing that I wanted to touch upon is um, if you do want to be a part of the book crawl, the indie book crawl, um, by tomorrow, I'll need to know if you haven't chimed in on that. And then lastly, May, Grove City is doing like a book bonanza. And it's outside. And I think Laura suggested a really cool thing too. After Memorial Day, like a poolside book thing would be really fun. So those are just the things that I wanted to get your guys' ideas and feels on, and we'll be doing some votes on that, on which one we'll be doing. But that's it for the meeting. We're going to go into After Dark now, and just let it all loose. Okay, how do I stop?